I think it's pretty safe to say that when we examine the Skywalker saga, there's a lot of flaws within the sequel trilogy by Disney and Lucasfilm, and a lot of consistency issues by Disney with The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and yes, even The Rise of Skywalker by Disney. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the one thing about Disney's Star Wars is that we do know that as of right now, they are crafting a future for the franchise when it comes to TV series and movies and books, novels, comics, and more, even video games at that. That's all going to interconnect with each other and will be modeled after the MCU. And that really is a big deal because that tells us, the Star Wars community, that what Disney is trying to do is that they are trying to really develop a brighter future for Star Wars. They want to create authentic stories for the Star Wars fans around the world to enjoy, and not just that, they also want to regain the lost fans based on the mistakes that they made with the sequel trilogy movies. Now, with that being said, of course, everyone has been very curious about the fourth Star Wars trilogy, these new Star Wars movies to be released throughout this entire decade, of what's going on with it. The first one is actually set to release in 2022, in about 2.5 years, even less, and we're getting closer to when we're going to be learning more and more about this, because the development is actually moving along. However, what's really intriguing has all to do with Kathleen Kennedy and something else that proves that Kathleen Kennedy has no idea what she's talking about when it comes to Star Wars. So now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are focused on their new Star Wars universe, as well as their new Star Wars trilogy of films, where it's explained that currently the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, is making many changes over at Lucasfilm in order to create a better future for the Star Wars brand. Now, it's noted that Kathleen Kennedy and her creative control has been taken away over at Lucasfilm for the most part. However, it's explained that Kathleen Kennedy currently wants to cancel the new Star Wars trilogy that is in the early development phase for Star Wars, and that the main reason as to why Kennedy wants to cancel the new trilogy is because many of her previous ideas that she has with David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are not being put into the new 3 movies. It's explained that Kennedy has talked to Bob Chapek about all of this, and that Chapek and Kennedy had a conversation about this. However, Chapek refused to cancel the new Star Wars trilogy as he sees the future of Star Wars as both in the form of TV shows, and movies. Another reason as to why Kennedy wants to cancel the new Star Wars trilogy is because Kathleen Kennedy wants Star Wars to only be on a streaming service and in the form of live-action TV shows only. Kennedy is said to believe in that Star Wars no longer belongs to be placed in the theaters and needs to stay on Disney Plus for viewers at home at this point, where it's explained that the main reason as to why Kathleen Kennedy also wants the new trilogy to come to a full stop. However, Bob Chapek is still moving forward and pushing through with the new Star Wars trilogy of films, and that the first film of the new trilogy is moving along rather smoothly. So this is yet again another prime example that, of course, Kathleen Kennedy, as the head of Lucasfilm, has no idea what in the world that she is talking about when it comes to the Star Wars franchise and itself as a brand. To me, Star Wars belongs to be in the theaters, and I do agree with Chapek that Star Wars needs to be on both TV and, of course, in movies. It has to be a combination. It can't just be on television. Star Wars is not built to just be TV shows on a streaming service as Disney Plus because, well, that would necessarily mean that a lot of fans would have to subscribe, and not all fans want to subscribe to a streaming service by Disney only for Star Wars material if they're going to only be getting, content every here and there. They want to see movies, and they want to actually go into the theater and celebrate a movie release with other Star Wars fans physically, like actually being there. That's what they want, and that's what I personally want. So, the other reason is because she wants to actually cancel the new trilogy, in which she's not going to be successful at doing that, so no worries, but she wants to, is because a lot of the ideas that she set up with David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, the creators of Game of Thrones, right, the writers for Game of Thrones, a lot of their ideas were actually put away to the wayside and canceled for the new Star Wars trilogy. So that's another reason as to why she wants this to be pretty much canceled, and how she actually had conversations about this with the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek. And this right then and there tells us that, when we look at Kathleen Kennedy as the president of Lucasfilm, she really has no idea, what Star Wars really is at the end of the day. When you think about Star Wars, you think about what George set up in the originals and what it really means and how it's based off of a lot of his ideas and how that's incorporated into the prequels. Star Wars is great, and that's one thing that Disney's Star Wars seems to be separate from. They don't really seem to catch lightning in a bottle again, per se. And hopefully they will with this new trilogy. Thankfully, Kathleen Kennedy has no creative control over these new Star Wars films, so that's one good thing to look forward to. I myself am very excited for Star Wars Celebration. We're going to be learning more about the first film, dubbed as Star Wars X. So with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.